I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. And I take refuge in Sangha. What would mountain do? What would mountain do? Dōgen says, mountains have been the abode of great sages from the limitless past to the limitless present. Wise people and sages all have mountains in their inner chamber as their body and mind. You may think that in mountains many wise people and great sages are assembled, but after entering the mountains, not a single person meets another. There is just the activity of mountains. There is no trace of anyone having entered the mountains. Although mountains belong to the nation, mountains belong to people who love them. You should know that mountains are fond of wise people and sages. Mountain mind has been the abode of great sages from the limitless past to the limitless present. Mountain mind. This mountain mind is what we've been practicing during sesshin. Learning to make mountain mind our abode. Just as it has been the home of great sages, it too is our home. And we're learning to recognize it as such. We've all had glimpses, maybe moments of immersion, tastes of this true home, this true abode, mountain mind. So right now, tune into your mountain mind. Human mind might be grumpy or sleepy or thinking about something else. But what is mountain mind doing? Be letting the stability of your body, your connection to the earth, be an access road into mountain mind. And as you tune into the stillness and silence of mountain awareness, for a moment, let self-consciousness or self-referencing drop out of the body. Let the sense of self disidentify with body sensation. For a moment, don't grasp at the sensations of body. Just let them be. Let whatever experience you usually call my body have the same weight as the zendo floor or the space in the room. Or the distant sounds. And do the same thing with thought. Let the sense of self drop out of mind. Don't identify with thought. Let thoughts have the same weight, the same significance as the Zendo floor. The color purple, the space in the room, the distant sounds. Rest in mountain awareness. Not identified for right now with anything. Be nobody. Nobody in particular. Let whatever is happening happen. Just don't take it personally. Even the thoughts of, I can't do this. Not personal. Not yours. Just sound happening. And from mountain mind, mountain heart, silent, spacious awareness, from this space of non-attachment, non-identification, look at this being sitting here that you normally call me. Look and see this being's life. And notice what you see. Staying rooted in mountain awareness, grounded, spacious. What do you see when you look back at this person sitting here, wearing the clothes that you put on earlier today? Sitting in the seat that had your name on the magnetic board. What do you see? What does mountain think about this human being? How does mountain regard the way this human seems to suffer or tie themselves up in knots. How does mountain experience or know your pain? And what does mountain know about belonging? About love? What does mountain know about being enough? What does mountain think about your practice? And coming back, if you've gotten distracted, to the stability of your own seat. Spacious, silent awareness. And so during this sesshin, we've been connecting with mountain awareness. And so much about sesshin is that steadiness of returning. The conditions of sesshin allow us to keep trying it on. Inevitably, we forget or something else arises and we attend to that. But we're learning how to recognize this mountain mind. Spacious, open awareness. And then how to function from it. We are practicing recognizing mountain as our inner chamber, as Dōgen Zenji says. Each being here, everyone you encounter, has a mountain as their inner chamber, as their body and mind. Many people don't even think about that. But we might be able to, when we leave sesshin, to meet people and see the mountain that they are. See their Buddha nature. So we picked up this practice of mountain. And as many of you have realized, mountain isn't very concerned about what we look like, what roles we play. It's really not concerned about what we post about ourselves on social media, or how we talk about sesshin or our experience, or how concentrated we are. Mountain stability is all-inclusive. It's a kind of love that has no opposite. Mountain doesn't really understand why we collapse around certain sensations or tell ourselves untrue things and then believe them and suffer them, or replay past pains and suffer them, or worry too much about who will be in the future. And that's awesome to know that your inner chamber just goes on mountaining. As thoughts cascade and crumble, mountain goes on mountaining, steady and aware, letting us tell whatever story we want about ourselves, about mountain, letting us call it whatever name we do. And so we do. We're like mountain, ocean of awareness, the light of awareness, Buddha nature, the thing that cannot be named. And mountain mind is just here, silent and aware. The mind of Jizō bodhisattva, shining from all beings. And maybe it's easier for us to recognize this silent, aware mind shining through the beings of the natural world, more than our neighbors or our family members or our friends even. But many of you have noticed aspects of true nature as you've gone into nature. You've noticed that the trees, the grasses, the ferns, the blackberries don't suffer self-image in the way that we seem to, or even have a self-concept. They don't seem to care what we call them. And although we might say, you're an oak tree, they just go on. They don't feel separate or question whether or not they belong. There's a Rumi poem, and there's just a few lines within that poem, and he says, "Some call the wide-eyed flower jasmine. Some call the wide-eyed flower thorn. The wide-eyed flower doesn't care what we call them. I bow to such freedom. Some call the wide-eyed flower jasmine. Some call the wide-eyed flower thorn. The wide-eyed flower doesn't care what we call them. I bow to such freedom." We've been doing that, bowing to the freedom of the natural world, recognizing that freedom. The natural world doesn't seem as attached to life and death in the ways that we are as humans. We go outside and we witness so many stages of this cycle of life. This cycle of dying and being born, bodies turning to compost, bodies returning to the great elements. Each stage of the process, part of this rich expression of the earth body. It's simply the way of life. The natural world seems to want to welcome us back into this way of being, or at least lets us witness it, lay on the earth, become part of the earth. It seems to say, put down the weight of your aloneness. You're part of this too. Part of this rich cycle of being born and dying. Part of this body of earth, mountain, sky. This is all one life. Mountain mind isn't born. Mountain mind doesn't die. In this sesshin, we're merging our activity with the great activity of mountain mind. This is something to keep practicing, especially this last day of sesshin. Know for yourself mountains walking as your own walking, mountains eating as your own eating, mountain movement as your own movement. Keep familiarizing yourself with this stability, with this silence, with the space of your own mind. As we do that, it becomes more and more reliable. And so we can practice it not just in meditation, but throughout the day of sesshin. Can you tune into the unperturbability of mind's nature in the midst of a busy wash-up? Can you tune into silence even when there's a lot of thought? Can you open to spaciousness as you walk around the grounds, moving inside and outside? Does the space of mind change when you shift from being in the zendo to the hallway to the great outside? And how do you return if it does seem to collapse? If you notice, those are my shoes. No, someone just took them. Can we feel the ever-present stillness while we're eating? And you can ask this about any activity that you do as you're falling asleep, as you're waking up. What happens? What gets in the way? That's also interesting. How does awareness collapse? What does it collapse around? What beliefs are still strong in you, in us? This is the ever-going work of continuous practice. Mountain mind connects us to the aspect of reality that is always okay. We sometimes call this sameness or one taste. And from mountain awareness, all experience, sensation, every being that we encounter shines forth in their uniqueness, unobstructed, part of this great body of mountain. And it's interesting for me that even though we are all in silence, we're all doing the same forms, we each do them uniquely. And it's almost like as sesshin deepens and we deepen into the forms, our uniqueness shines through even more clearly. Not as like an obstruction, but as this beautiful offering. Each of our voices joined together, but each of our voices is a unique voice. Each person's bow is unique. Each person's posture, of course, we have different bodies. Each kinhin. And therefore, as well, and this is the part that maybe we don't contemplate so deeply, each person's practice is unique. So we can't compare. It doesn't even make sense. Each person's karma is unique. There's a unique set of myriad causes and conditions that came together to form this life, this body, mind, this heart. And we each have unique challenges and joys and gifts that probably brought us right here to this practice. And of course, our expression of practice, how we practice, is going to be different. No two people do breath practice the same. No two people articulate their vow in exactly the same way. No two people even hear sound the same. So we share this one mind, and we all express and experience it uniquely. It seems like a paradox, but mountain mind is all-inclusive, so it allows for this kind of diversity. And as we settle into mountain mind, as we really familiarize ourselves with our nature, it makes complete sense. Of course. Of course, we're all expressions of one mind. Of course. We're all completely different. What a miracle. And we see this too in nature. You sit with the cosmos or a sunflower, those sunflowers that have like 20 sunflowers on one stalk. And not a single one of them is the same. They come from the same stalk. Another aspect of this is when we sit with the natural world, when we do sanzen with a being from the natural world, our true nature is mirrored back to us. But we see, and this is just such a beautiful aspect of this practice, we see the aspect that we need to see. So we all might sit with a tree, maybe even the same tree through the sesshin, probably like 10 people have sat with the same tree. But you all may have had a really different experience of that tree. Or some you may have seen, and this is similar to what Dōgen says in the beginning of the Mountains and River Sutra, where he's like, some beings see mountains as 7 shining treasures. Some beings see mountains as all the Buddhas and ancestors. Somebody sits with a tree and they feel or sense the stability of the tree. Someone else sits with the tree and gets a teaching of generosity. Someone else sits with the tree and is reminded of the patience that's needed in practice. And these are all aspects of awakened mind, mirrored through the same being, but each of us experiences it differently. And no one way is right. And it's the same with us. Without trying, we're mirroring true nature to others. It can be so interesting to hear what people see in us. Sometimes people have said to me, "You sat so stably. I was such a refuge." And I was like, wow, that was like the hardest sesshin for me. And I was just thinking the whole time. But I sat there. And someone felt that faith, maybe that I didn't even feel. But we catch wind of true nature in sangha, in everything. Sometimes we see or feel the determination of someone else, or what we perceive as determination. And it can ignite our own determination. Or we sense someone's stability. Or we see the way someone interacts with a flower and it feels like this kindness or this joy or this sense of wonder. And that ripples out and touches us. Now, we don't know the effect that we're having on the other people in this sesshin. We might not even know that this gesture looked like kindness or generosity, but someone else felt that. And that's one of the great privileges of the role I get to play during this sesshin, is just meeting you, person after person, arriving in Sanzen, bowing in your unique way, sitting in your unique way, meeting the conditions that you're meeting. And I see courage, I see wisdom, I see love, I see determination, I see faith, I see Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Buddha recognizes Buddha. Buddha bows to Buddha. This practice lets our Buddha nature shine through. Each person is more themselves. We don't become like the stone Buddha. We don't have like this inner Buddha inside of us that looks like the guy sitting on the altar. Our Buddha nature is this body, this space. It comes out through our laughter, through our joy, through our heartache, whatever is expressing through us. We don't have to do anything to be Buddha. That is the mysterious work of this practice of sesshin. We keep practicing sesshin and we get simpler. The habits of self-protection, self-image, self-identification loosen. And we shine through more and more. I often wish that I could take pictures of everyone as they come into Sanzen because you're so beautiful. But I'm not sure if you would see that because we have so many habits of seeing our face and reacting to it with all those habits of mind. But each of us is lighter. There's just more like honesty in the face. And we're incomparable. Beyond compare. It doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense to compare a noble fir to an oak tree. Or a daisy to a crocosmia. They're different trees, they're different flowers. Each with its own beauty, each with its own presence and functioning. The same too with us, the same too with our practice. The flower of your life is incomparable. The tree of your practice is immeasurable. You can't compare it to any of the other trees here or any of the other flowers here. But please trust the path that's opening for you. Walk it. Live it. It isn't your neighbor's path. It isn't my path. It's your path. You get to walk it, and we walk it together. Each our own paths, each facing our own particular karma, each learning from the challenges and blessings of our particular life, each expressing what only we can express. And yet we do it together. We need each other. Sangha, in whatever form it takes, is the heart of the path. This sesshin couldn't have happened without you. It would have been a different sesshin. each and every one of you made this sesshin, the one we're all doing together. It couldn't have happened without the monastery, without the rain, without the sun, without the great earth, the forest, creatures, the mountains, and each one of us. These conditions came together for this unique form of practice, in this unique practice container. And each of us made the effort we needed to make to contribute to its functioning. This is the mystery of interdependence. We are each other, we need each other, and yet we're also utterly ourselves. Whole universes, unfathomable. I marvel at this and so many other aspects of this practice. Like, why do we have to strive so hard to recognize what we aren't? Shouldn't it be more obvious? Or easier to let go of 100 years and relax completely? Why does spiritual maturation take so long? The tastes of mountain mind take but an instant, always available, always right here. And we have been living with our conditioned habits and beliefs for most our lives. Some of these beliefs we don't even remember starting to believe. It's as if they've always been here, a part of us, unquestioned, the way things are. So to begin to recognize some of these deeply seated beliefs, sometimes it takes years of sesshin practice, years of zazen to uncover. So it's not like, oh, I'm backsliding if you find yourself suddenly confronted with a very fixed belief that you have about the nature of yourself or reality. And sometimes we encounter our beliefs for sesshin. Right there they are, staring back at us. That sense of not belonging or not being good enough, or that we must be doing it wrong. To truly recognize a belief as a belief, in and of itself is liberating. To truly recognize a belief as a thought that we don't have to invest in or attach to. That we actually don't have to base our life on. It's a huge step towards freedom. And often, especially with particularly fixed beliefs that we may have inherited or been believing, basing our life on for decades, it takes a lot of seeing through, a lot of returning to mountain mind. A lot of trying on, who would I be if I didn't live from this belief, but lived instead from my spacious, complete nature? What would it be like to speak from the wholeness that I am, instead of this fragmented thought? The good thing, and I think we've all tasted this as well during sesshin, is that mountains and the great earth still love and accept us, even when we forget about them. Even when we forget that our life is one life. Even when we get identified with our inner demons. Mountain mind, earth body, sky heart are always calling us to remember. They'll continue calling. What we can do is keep practicing. Keep returning to breath. Keep opening to the field of sound. Keep returning to this body, earth. Mountain awareness is our awareness. Still, silent, spacious, all-pervasive, here, now. What would mountain do? How would mountain react to this thought? How would mountain respond to this situation? As we practice this last day of sesshin, keep practicing mountain awareness. Keep resting in present moment experience with the supports that you have when you need them. We are together developing trust in mind, trust in mountain. And something in particular that arises at this stage in sesshin is sometimes we think we need to figure out how to integrate the experiences of sesshin into our life outside of sesshin, and we think we need to figure that out while we're still in sesshin. But really, I've come to learn from many, I've done hundreds of sesshin, that is really more thinking. That's thinking mind trying to re-exert its power over our lives. That's thinking mind not trusting in mind, capital M mind, not trusting in mountain awareness. Practice awakening is practicing living from mountain awareness all the time. Not just in sesshin, and then I'll think about how I can do this later while I maintain thinking for the rest of my life as the ground of my mind. But it's hard to do, of course. Of course, like there are parts of us that really don't trust that this is going to work outside of sesshin. So we do little tastes. This is actually the ground of our mind. Spacious awareness. We can be the activity of mountain. The activity of mountain can be the activity of our living. So much of our lives actually function quite well without the overlay of thought. The thinking mind is so tricky. It's like we need to think in order to respond well to different situations. So instead of actually doing the thing that we're doing, we need to think about something else, which doesn't make any sense. So while I'm walking, I need to think about what I'm going to say to the person that I might never meet. But just in case I do, I need to be prepared. Meanwhile, I'm tripping over something because I'm not actually walking. So that's where it starts. Can we trust walking? What is it like to walk from mountain mind? What is it like to wash dishes from mountain awareness? What is it like to talk or listen to somebody? And we'll have the opportunity to practice that in group sanzen. While we're still in sesshin, practice speaking and listening from mountain awareness. And we're practicing mountain awareness, and we're also practicing noticing when planning comes in and when shame comes in and when we feel like we don't belong or that somebody else's practice is better than ours. Like all of that is part of our human condition. And from mountain awareness, we can be aware of, oh yeah, those are the thoughts I have. And I often believe them and suffer them. And what if I don't have to? That's called freedom. I love that line. Thus, when somebody calls, we immediately answer. That's the functioning of mountain mind. When someone calls, we answer. We don't have to plan for anyone who might call and what we might say if that person called or that person called. Responsiveness comes from the stable presence of mountain mind. We are more able to respond when we're present, when we're actually here. So practice being here while we're here. And you're always here. Here just might not be the zendo. And it's precious to be here. It's really precious. It's really precious to be here and know you're here. Maybe the most precious thing. Been really feeling connected to Jizō during this sesshin. And Jizō, I'm looking at Kshitigarbha, who's still shining, luminous. And Jizō is an expression of mountain mind, and it's having this concept of a bodhisattva is a skillful means for us in our practice. Because sometimes we really forget who we are. Sometimes we feel really far away from our vows. And Jizō is this expression of true nature in the form of a being who's available to help us remember, to help walk with us when we really don't know what to do. We really don't know the next step. So we have these vows that we recited today during the Kshitigarbha ceremony, remembering Jizō's great benevolence. May I welcome everything that comes toward me with a warm and undefended heart. Recognizing Jizō's great determination, may I walk the path of enlightenment, dissolving all obstructions and never turning back. Recognizing the great optimism of Jizō Bodhisattva, may I see and nourish the seeds of awakening in everyone I meet. Recognizing the great fearlessness of Kshitigarbha, may I know that all demons arise from ignorance. And that's like the basic ignorance that we don't recognize, thought for thought, story for story. And may I take refuge in the one bright mind. And recognizing the great vow of Kshitigarbha, may I gladly enter every hell realm, which you never really think you would put those two words together, gladly with hell realm, entering hell realm. But that's Jizō's vow, guiding myself and everyone to liberation. That's Jizō's vow. So when we find ourselves in states that feel hellish, or when we find ourselves contending with our inner demons, whatever that is for us, whether that's the thick cloud of thought or the thick cloud of dissociation or a trauma response or fear, to call on Jizō, to sit with us, to hold our hand, to walk with us, to help us find that determination to really face, that courage to really face our lives. To see that this life, whatever it's presenting, is the awakened life. That's Jizō's vow. And it can be our vow too. And these vows, they come from our true nature. They come from the one bright mind. They come from mountain mind. Jizō Bodhisattva and the other bodhisattvas that we evoke aren't like do-gooders. They're not just like these beings that have some self-sacrificing complex or self-image. They're the expressions of the awake mind. So that determination is our determination. That courage is our courage. Sometimes we can't quite feel it, and so we personify it in Jizō Bodhisattva. We make Jizō statues and put them everywhere as a reminder for everyone. Oh, this aspect of your nature wants you to wake up. It's fearless. You're fearless. Even when you're afraid. Practicing with Jizō is a lot like having sanzen with a tree or a blackberry bush or a blackberry or a sunflower or the sky. It's connecting with the wisdom and compassion that is innate in this universe. It's everywhere.